in the right space to and to question what they which teach us technical things. But how many of us in here are certified for the relationships we're in? How many of us, and by relationships, I just don't mean your marriage or your significant other. I mean the relationship you have with your daughter or your son or your brother or your sister. Have you put in place to study those things so that you can they can actively with the way you manage your work? Because this relationship was never properly addressed, and now it's affecting all of this. And then before you know it, the tech startup that could have had an opportunity to go 100 years just goes 10 or 5 or 2 or none, because there is mother and friend at the same time the business is happening. And at the lab, we're just going to help you develop as a whole human being to look at all of this and to address all of it while you're addressing funding and coding and business relationships and workflows and risk management and business design, that you also recognize mental health systems, structures, and frameworks, physical health systems, structures, and frameworks. Are we growing up at not taking care of the machine that is dealing with the company? I'll just give one more example before I leave. I know a certain man who had a traveling job most across the country. And because he used to drive to those places and sit in a not very comfortable car on the way to those places, he developed a spinal issue by the time he was 50, and they could no longer give him painkillers for his problem. What he was told is that he will have to live with the pain because he can't live on painkillers because he didn't take time to exercise or take better care of his physical body before he turned 50. And so now he's living, this is an actual person here in Zambia. He's living the rest of his life after 50, which is a lot because he could go up to 90 or 100 with excruciating physical pain because of physical investments he did not make when he was younger, in spite of enough other issues that affect the entrepreneur that need to be addressed, and enough other issues that can be addressed within the organization and the person of the entrepreneur. The details so that you can visit the website in case you would like to be funded. We will, if you'd like to tell us more about your business and we can get back to you, we'll leave the details in the chat. I'll just leave us with this. Africa is not waiting for permission. We're building digital future with digital IDs, we are addressing digital IDs, blockchain, farmland, commoditized, sustainable farmland, fintech projects, and mobility systems that work for us. But the future belongs to those who prepare for it, not just with code, but with character, with capability, and community. The lab is here to build those leaders. I am Jella, the storyteller. Thank you. Now let's go and build one Africa with infinite futures. It's been an honor to speak to you. I'll be here if we have questions. I know that we have basically just cut open the person on the operating table and then not provided solutions, but I'm hoping that we have pointed us in the right direction for more stitching, because I know that we have just gutted here. Yeah. Yes, please. Questions concerning the lab or anything that I may have touched on that you'd like clarity on, or where you can get more information. I'm told we have one or two questions. There's one more thing actually that I have here that I haven't pointed out before I go out while they're looking for feedback, is the spiritual aspect for an entrepreneur. I will recommend us to consider and look at the role that spirituality has been playing in the solutions to these issues that we have uncovered, and how that works for the entrepreneur, whether it's forgiveness or healing. Usually there's no prescriptions at the pharmacy for forgiveness or heartbreak, but I have known entrepreneurs that and have from my own experience, it is important for us to look into spiritual solutions for some of those. There is spiritual solutions that entrepreneurs have not, those successful entrepreneurs have not been mentioning. I know a lot that are actually Christian, and the church community works as the community where they go for what they look like community group therapy every week, and it keeps them sane, and it gives them a place away from their family in case their family is toxic, for them to go and experience the fellowship that a human being actually needs. Now, I'm not saying that people should run to every church. There's places out there that people should not be in, even if they're called church. But there's a statement I would like us to just leave with. It says, be careful with religious leaders that teach frameworks and standards without systems and structures. You might just want to keep that in mind if you're looking for a place that can offer you help, that can help sustain your mental health and other parts of your business. Yeah. I haven't seen any questions, so we'll be honored. Okay. That would be amazing. We thank God. Mhm. Do you want me to read it out? Oh, we thank God. It says, I'm encouraged by your practical presentation. The way you translated ideas into actionable steps was especially impactful. Thank you for sharing such valuable insights. Well, we thank God. We thank God. Yes, sir. Appreciate you too for putting up this. Thank you. We appreciate you too for putting up this Africa Future Summit.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Can you hear me? Okay. Right. Right. So let's start with your first question about it's pronounced Museigen, which is essentially Japanese for limitless. Because when you think about it, very appropriate given that we're talking about technology and how we can use the benefits of technology to improve things for us in terms of how we work, how we live. So it's truly limitless. And so that's what Museigen stands for. So a little bit of background myself. I'm a banker by training, although for the last probably 5, 6 years, been concentrating more on advocacy and just sharing insights and inputs on blockchain, Web3 through venues like this. So first and foremost, thank you for inviting Museigen back again to share our insights. And I'm happy to be here together with other esteemed speakers and specialists in the field. So anyway, perhaps let's start if my screen can be placed placed up, please.
Recording in progress.
Nope, at the moment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I see my screen.
It's showing me.
Okay, sure. Nice to meet you. Okay. So guys, ni text alafu anataka nitumishe document gani, hujaniambia ni gani. We're sharing. Oh, fuck. I've not picked. Ah. Thanks.
Yes, but that's not yet my slide.
I don't know what to do. I'm confused and I want to go home.
Okay. Oh, it's gone again. Okay, thank you very much. Can we go to the next slide, please? So I just want to start with, we always do this, we start with a legal disclaimer that what we're going to be discussing here are insights that come from a variety of sources and no guarantees as to the accuracy. But the most important is that this isn't financial advice. So do your own research. Next slide, please. So in a nutshell, and again, these are just insights from our end, and I'm sure if I were to go around the room, there would be other people with other ideas or other inputs. But clearly, what I tried to do here, and this was, you'll see the sites which I used to get the information that we'll be sharing here tonight. But so clearly, one of the first, which again is no surprise, is AI. But we're going to see also, as we go through the talk, what exactly does AI do to the rest of the ecosystem that we have. For example, I'm sure in Africa, you also have the same situation wherein some of the more routinary jobs, let's say in call centers, are actually being replaced by AI. And that leads you to the need to have what's called reskilling or upskilling, so that you now move from the, what I would call the low-hanging fruit, and move up the value chain, going towards the more complicated tasks. At the same time, think back to when we had COVID, when we were all on lockdown. And so what happened then? We had situations where people were working from home. We had situations where people also began to focus more on work-life balance, mental health. You're going to see, at least what we see, we believe there will be a return to some sort of incorporation of work from home arrangements. And that will have an implication on industries like real estate. Why? Because if a company before used to worry about, I need to have space for, let's say, 200 employees because they're here every day. Now, because you know that you can do certain things remotely without a significant of inefficiency, you can actually schedule when your people or your teammates need to come to office. So you could do shifting of the office. You would probably need less infrastructure, and that leads to lower rent and other cost implications. Can we go to the next slide, please? So yes, we talked about AI. Now go to the next slide, because that's something I'd like to share with the group. Next slide, please. So you can see that contrary to what a lot of people feel, when you say AI, the average employee would probably think AI is going to take over my job. But interestingly enough, some of these studies are showing it doesn't. The concern should really be more for, if you look at the second bullet point, those that rely less on experience. Because what does that mean? You're talking here about more of the routinary work, which can be done or can be handled better by automation. Why? Let's say, for example, if it is tech, well, not necessarily tech support, if it was just answering FAQs, right? When you go to if you were to call, and the FAQs, you can easily automate that, put that on the website. You won't need people to handle that. So those that require less experienced are probably in greater danger of being displaced by AI. Can we go on to the next slide, please? Can you try to make it a bit bigger just so that the audience can see? So here, what the slide is showing is, if you look at what they essentially try to do is compare if they're doing something without and with AI, just to see what sort of improvement did it have. And you're going to see that there are certain tasks where it is there is a notable improvement trying to use when they're trying to use Copilot, which was the example in this case, as opposed to those when they lend itself better to the use of AI. And there are certain tasks, let's say, like if you look at big difference between when they're using AI and when they're not. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Okay, now we can go back to the normal size. So what else do we think is going to happen? Before you graduate with a degree, you have an MBA, and you probably feel fair. I'm not saying that's no longer the case, but precisely because of what AI can do, there's also, we foresee that there's going to be an increasing focus as well on having skills-based, not just degree-based. So which would mean it's not all based on books, but a certain element of actual on-the-job training, wherein what you've been able to learn through years of experience will actually probably be more useful in certain areas than just the fact that you have a degree from, let's say, this particular university. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Here, this one is an interesting one. So you're going to see that AI, one of the things I like to say is AI is a technology. So when you think about it, when I say technology, what comes to mind? Is it positive or negative? Just type in the chat. Do you think it's positive or negative? Basically, when you think about technology, it's agnostic. It's neither good nor bad. It depends on how you use that technology. The analogy I'd like to make, there would be a knife. That's correct, Med. Positive if used correctly. A knife, in and of itself, is neither good nor bad. If I use it to spread butter, positive. If you use it to stab somebody, it's negative. But the knife itself, it's agnostic. It's neither good nor bad. So what you're going to see here is that the technology is going to happen with or without you. So the choice really is up to us. Do we want to get left behind by the technology or see how we can work with it to make things better? So what do I mean by soft skills matter? For example, let's say you were to program an AI that you've got a roster of clients, and let's say we program it in such a way that if the customer is 1 day late, you automatically charge a penalty. However, the AI itself doesn't distinguish, are we talking about a customer who you've just met, or let's say a customer who has been a long-standing client who has been with for the last 2 decades and who probably gave you your first break in business. Clearly, just because that client late 1 day, you would definitely not say charge him a penalty. So that's a very simple example, but that's what I mean by soft skills. The people skills, the relationship building, those are still things that AI at this point, okay, of course, I'm never going to say never because the technology continues to evolve. We may get to something at that point in time, but right now, AI still doesn't have the level wherein they can essentially nurture and build relationships. So in that respect, you are still going to require soft skills, and that will be part of the upskilling as people move away from just being technical or what the technology can handle and moving to those aspects which the technology at this point in time is not yet equipped to handle or hasn't mastered it yet. Next slide, please. And this one, which I alluded to earlier, you probably see a return of remote work in the sense that probably it's going to be used more as a way to manage better work-life balance as people use the technology to see how we can be efficient, not necessarily sacrificing efficiency just because we're not physically in the office. Granted, I do agree that probably doesn't work for all industries. There will be certain industries where this works better than others. But the point there is that there will be elements or areas where remote work will make a return, or at least that's the way we see it. Remote work will make a return in a bigger way. And with that, can you just bring up my last slide wherein I will just show some of the websites used to get the information which was presented here. And with that, the floor is open in case anyone has any questions, comments. I mean, certainly, I like because we're here to learn. Even all of us should have an attitude of being a lifelong learner. You never get to the stage where you say you know everything. So I'm certainly happy to share insights and to learn from people here who may have had a similar experience or even a different experience or a different take on matters. You can stop the screen sharing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fermin. We really appreciate that insight in remote work, some appreciation for that presentation. Musegen, I'm still learning how to. Musegen?
Yes, Musegen.
Musegen. Yeah, I'm sure I'm not the only one who is struggling in this session. You said it's a Japanese word for
limit. Yes.
Wow. Musegen. Yeah.
Because when we set our minds to it, that's what we all are.
Absolutely. I like the concept. Is it quite related to Kaizen? I'm very much acquainted with Kaizen.
Well, I guess it's more I guess you can say it's more of
continuous
a philosophy. That's what we all
right?
aspire to be.
Yeah, I'm a Kaizen practitioner. Yeah, in my country for the last let's say maybe 16 years or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've been a Kaizen practitioner and consultant in my country. Yeah, so I really appreciate the Kaizen methodology. Now I'm learning the new one now, Museg. I get to practice. Yeah. And also what resonated with me in this presentation is you see, at MIBT we are already working remotely. most of our team is remote,
Hmm.
and it's in different parts of the world. So maybe some of my colleagues are US, other parts of Africa. So we appreciate information such as this because it helps us to continue sharpening our skills and also getting validation of what we are doing, and also we continue to improve, you know. And then, yeah, we are also slowly integrating AI in all our operations. Okay, but we don't want to put away the human element. I think today's presentations have been highlighting this. Okay, yeah, from the storytelling session now to this one, yes, AI is going to shift the value of work toward human judgment and decision making. Okay, that's what theory suggests, yeah. But the soft skills, they'll still matter. Soft skills, that's a human element. We can't put away the human element, right?
That's
So,
correct. So you look at it in terms of use the AI and other technologies that will come later on. Use it to harness the data to enable us to make better database decisions, but the judgment and the decision making will still ultimately come from our side.
absolutely, that's replaced, yeah? Yeah. So there you have it, colleagues, especially on the African continent as well. We've been talking about it since the start of the summit up to the end. We have these AFCFTA sessions and programs because Africa is integrating right now, okay, into a single market. This is what we've been doing in the last 5 years now, right? And more, we really have to adapt, to this environment where we continue to collaborate, even if we are geographically isolated. And then, as we develop as a continent, integrating 54 different economies into a single one, we need to integrate, infrastructure. We need to integrate our technology. At the same time, we cannot always be there physically. So remote work is inevitable, but then we have to build skills on how to adapt and leverage, the changing profile of our work environment. And then at the same time, we have our strategic partners like yourselves coming from outside the continent. So how do we get to work together? I mean, again, it comes back to remote or virtual work environment, if you like. We have our colleagues in Europe. Professor Johannes is in Europe right now, but we work together in the US with Autash University and other, partners. So I think the profile of our work environment has really changed, and we need information like this for us to continue adapting. So thank you so much. Colleagues, it's your take. I see a comment here. Was there a comment? Okay.
Thank you,
So
William.
there's some comment in the chat there. So we really appreciate what Mr. Gen is doing, and maybe you want to share with us, Mr. Fermin, some of the upcoming programs that we need to be on the lookout from your end.
Well, what Musegan does is we essentially are a growth marketing partner for companies that want to grow in the Web3 space. So look at our website, musegan.io, and that will give you a better appreciation of the different projects that we're working on and what we try to bring to the table. But again, thank you very much for inviting us. And it's always a pleasure to be with like-minded people, because clearly the future is with those who use this opportunity to learn and see how we can make things better collectively. It can't be done by one person alone, but together there's a lot we can achieve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I love that emphasis. It's loud and clear. Yeah, in the last 2 days, I think it has been coming up. Okay, now I'm trying to. So thank you so much, Mr. Femin. We look forward to more opportunities of collaboration. Yeah, we love and appreciate, as well as cherish our relationship and our partnership with your organization. Adding color to our summit, we could not have done it without you. So thank you so much. And we appreciate the work you're doing with your team. We want to wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So please check Mr. Femin and his organization. They're on LinkedIn and on the website. Yeah, let's continue networking and collaborating. So thank you so much.
Okay.
So with that
Thank you
same
again.
around, we move to Autashi University. Thank you so much, Mr. Femin. So we move to already to take us through this session. Professor continue engaging, and please let us know what has been prepared for us for this session. We are eagerly looking forward. So let me see my screen here.
Yeah, thank you, Frederick. So basically, I have prepared some presentation slides, but unfortunately, today's settings and traffic jams made me not being at home, but somewhere in the wild, basically, as you may hear by the background. So I sent you this little photograph I use as, let's say, avatar on Zoom out of reasons. But let's start with it whenever you are ready and give me the stage.
We put it on we can share the screen, yeah?
Yeah, it's basically just this meme I gave to William, which hopefully landed with you, because I don't have the slides on my mobile phone at the moment.
Yeah, I've seen this image. Let me see if I can have it here. Let me just check it out. Okay. Just give me one. My my device is acting up, so let me switch. Let me see if I can use. It's just one single image, Professor, right?
with my speech because time is limited. I'll wait you to provide it while oh, there it is. So basically, not having my slides here on mobile, I decided to switch it a bit. Talking a bit more about my motivation to have this blockchain basic studies on Alters University done. And if you guys at this comparably old meme, it's telling a lot about why I'm motivated to, let's say, give lessons and teach blockchain technologies. As you guys usually know, who studied with my courses already, I'm really in the technology. I'm long in that technology. I was starting in the computer space long time ago, nearly half a century ago. Watched many things to go. For example, seeing Bitcoin at the first times, at the fourth attempt to bring assets, to bring value into a web content, and all the time seeing it evolving. The first time it was just an exchange of little papers like anime and manga cards exchanges. So this took a bit, like from 11 to, I would say, 13 or something, when really Bitcoin got traction and the blockchain space built. Yeah, it means that the blockchain, let's say, environment started, and many
sharing your plan.
I can't hear anymore. Professor?
1, 2, 3, test.
Yes, you're back.
Well, so let's continue. So I went 2016 a bit more intense into the blockchain space again. In specific, checked the Alters environment, got active there, and got to know that Alters already had a foundation in means of an Alters University founded in 2015. A bit before COVID broke out, I decided to really get active in that, let's say, area of teaching, as I'm an experienced teacher, consultant, and so on. As I saw the blockchain space being a Wild West, everybody promising rainbow ponies, like 99.999% of all participants had, let's say, little flags running around with nice sayings, but anyone, or pretty much anyone, cared about the technique behind, because the technique behind is really cool, really needed, and really worth to get honored. So I decided to let's teach the people about what's behind, and not just about the technique itself, but as well about we saw so many scams. So many people got scammed. So many people followed false promises where with just a bit of knowledge, it would be easy to tell, guys, this is what you promise, and this is technically pretty much impossible to do. So we started with the basic blockchain studies 2029 and got more intense in 2020. Where as well COVID broke in, and let's say the world got more interested in online trainings and making better use of the online environment to meet, to chat, to learn, to connect, to meet. So this is basically when AFTS2025 blockchain studies really got big traction. And since then, we're at the moment at the cohort 25. So here a little of advertising. Guys, whoever wants to join cohort 26, please connect to William for a rebate for a really low fee, if a fee at all. So since the beginning, we are trying to get the programs and the course sponsored. It means of it's for everybody. We have an intense training. We have an intense online presence. We have intense lessons, self-paced, and as well live presentation from Manifold, and intermediate in means of multiple sections and multiple topics, not only blockchain reliant, professors, faculties, doctors, giving us insights in aligned, let's say, topics. And we end this with a full diploma in means of our students have to show skills, valuable in real practical environments, showing skills, for example, to get a team, join a team, or even lead a team, being able to communicate, being able to effectively show serious, let's say, business actions in means of being able to find out problems, being able to address problems, being able to describe problems and find easy solution. And there again, this blockchain technology rolls in. Blockchain technology or blockchains, most of you started to know usually as something about crypto money, something. Okay, I hear an open microphone. Guys, please. Thank you. So most of you probably get to know first in the blockchain space, blockchain environment, was something of crypto money and getting rich in just by investing things. So being happy and lucky and rainbow ponies are falling from the sky. So, but this is, as you can assume, not the real world. The real world has something much more of importance to show, especially with blockchain technologies. Blockchain technologies are really good for having proofs. It's really good to have zero knowledge agreements. It's really good to have certifications and so on, making things visible for the public, making things provable by the public, being able to, let's say, certify or get certified in an independent way, because blockchain itself is, or the blockchain technology in this implementation of blockchain, distributed over the whole planet, basically, being able for everybody to access freely. something which hasn't happened before. Usually, like proof certifications and so on, documents, business documents, were held in a very specific place. You have to pay money to see them, and you have to be eligible, maybe even to see these documentations to follow up a business, let's say. Movements in these means, if at all, in a B2B context, usually even another business won't see this. So all these proofs, all these business, let's say, actions, all these, let's say, values, or which got a bit confused and, let's say, a bit hyped too much, something like even artworks or so. I'm referring to NFTs here, the NFT hype. But it's not that NFTs are bad or just a hype. NFTs are real cool, let's say, implementation, if it's used the right way, not in a scammy way. Like, we still have really cool artworks on chain, really worth the money, let's say, really worth the value given. It's not just some bored apes, which, okay, artworks, it means there's some kinds of funny and maybe valuable means of these were the first ones, let's say, being public in a broad way. But let's say the bored apes in the example are okay, artworks. But you usually won't hang them at your wall, especially not to that price. Anyhow, just to give you an image, the overall blockchain space is very interesting. The overall general perception of the blockchain space is completely different from that still, even though it's now way over a decade. So getting back to the Alters University, you will see a bit more from, especially with cool slides from Professor Armando, I bet. So I'm still staying with the audio. Referring to the basic blockchain studies course, so it's made with a really low entry hurdle, can be just for interested people, getting a good number of micro credentials and learning about what's possible and what's not possible. Being able to rate if they see something, is this plausible or is it not plausible? Just by learning the basic steps and the basic constraints of blockchain technologies. For those really taking the courses seriously, let's say, and finalize these with something serious, where I usually ask for, okay, guys, please go out. Check what's in your local place. Check which systems you see. Check which procedures you see. Check which obstacles and problems you see. And as you've learned a lot about blockchain technology, the skills of blockchain technology, like, for example, hashes, hash functions, asymmetric keys, and so on. Like, how do you think this can be implemented in existing or even maybe new processes? More easy, more effective. Being, let's say, over a certain limit competitive, because whatever you see as blockchain projects, it's all collaboration. It's just because it's a worldwide context. There has to be international connections. There has to be an international consensus. in, let's say, social means and as well as mathematical means, meaning nodes need to cooperate worldwide. They have a straight mathematical, let's say, strict consensus to agree upon if everything is not neat or nice, if, let's say, transactions are valid or not. And let's transpose this to, let's say, our different societies. Let's make a good worth out of the technique itself, not just buy something and be happy. There won't be rainbow ponies falling from the air, or there won't be real cool projects out of thin air. It's all about a good cooperation, a good knowledge acquisition. It's good about lifelong learning. It's good about finding out what's really the key points. And this is not just implement this technique because it's there. Use a knife or a hammer just because it's there, because then you will stab someone. The point is find a good use case for it. Find a good implementation. Find a good and worthy, let's say, thing, knowledge, documents, certification, proof, on-chain. Make it worth, make the place on-chain worth for your information to place there. Just playing around with digital money, okay, digital money can be a cool thing. It can be a really, let's say, serious implementation, but this is just a very, very, very small part of what one could or should do with blockchain technologies. So getting back, not circling too far, students going outside, checking what's outside, they're getting aware about social context, they're getting deeper into their social environment and practical environment, even get in touch with international, let's say, communications and, let's say, problems or so while interacting over borders. It's not just payments, but manifold different things. So it's about finding out a cool project idea. I will only allow in my, let's say, student projects, utility projects, a legal word for something which is not money by itself. A security, for example, stable coins and so on are a security. But for example, Nigeria already has a cool ecosystem of digital money, the e-Naira, and many others, let's say, countries or even, let's say, regions have already well settled and well agreed upon digital monies. It doesn't need for our students to roll out digital monies just because they will, the one or the other way, in pretty much all cases, lead to a scam because they will promise something they can't back up. They are not central banks. They are not banks themselves. They don't have huge assets like big farms or something like that, which would make it worth to be an ETF or so. A good thing we see in blockchain technology emerging as well, like ATFs and so. But really care about how the system, our processes, and especially in touch with the social environment. Blockchain technology can do good things. Like we had student projects, then really remarkable one. You can imagine in 25 cohorts, there were many. I had like quizzes from 10 to 50 teams presenting, and pretty much all ideas and presentations were marvelous. By the way, one of the projects we're actually joining with Frederick, or STSH in means of founding the idea. Maybe to name another one from one of the last cohorts, really remarkable, and what I mentioned is if you ever have considered how business works of freight papers, of load papers, is they're intentionally crossing borders, many borders, and written as paper on paper and being just a single entity. It's a huge and very costly problem. When they got lost or somehow changed in these means, it's really, really very troubling to get the original bags, and even especially getting the certification of the customs, the different one, for example, a container crossed over the times back and rescheduled. So you can imagine that not all goods in a container can live forever. They, for example, need cooling and so on. And even if they don't, being on seaside for a too long time usually makes things mold and so on. So this, to mention, cool student project was about preparing a digital twin of the freight papers, not replacing them, but making it plausible, let's say recheckable and restatable, that these freight papers were not altered, being able to find a copy which is certified easily back, getting back all states of border crossing, for example, and variation in these means. And I think this is a really good example in means of it makes sense to place information of a good and real worthy value on chain. Like if you go out and want to, let's say, play with digital money, just buying an ice cream or even a meal, then that's not really a good use of blockchain technology, just in means of the scaling issues we can see. So another thing in my mind usually is to build awareness about what can be done, not overloading this cool technology, being smart in using it, because you won't see a scaling issue by making a smart implementation. Like, for example, starting with a verifiable and building like certification trees until the final end, and then certify, okay, the final end of this process is worth again to be placed as valid as okay on chain. So given another example of a really cool students project, for example, is really society bound. It means of a sanitary issue of girls tending even to not to go to school and so on when they face issues. They have probably maybe even issues to run around with amounts of money to get into, let's say, the special places and buy sanitary equipment. And so this is another really good example of how blockchain technology can be implemented by preserving privacy, but having a zero knowledge proof in behind, like being able to get even funded sanitary equipment without carrying around money or even showing that, let's say, too much that there is actual difference. So in these means, I'm looking for the CE25. I'm strongly supporting and getting students in the right directions of really understanding what, let's say, sustainable things can be done, blockchain technologies. And this is far beyond just understanding what blockchains can do and what blockchains usually should not do. So I don't know, I'm over my time. Give me a second for this one and quote Fred, please. And I would better like to have a Q&A now than talking more about how I do see things. If you join one of our courses, you will hear me at least one.
Is it Student Wednesday? How do you call it? Is it?
Yeah, yeah,
Student
minimum.
Yeah, so I miss those sessions, you know, the coding, and I would recommend to the delegates, the colleagues who are on the call, if you are building anything in Web3 blockchain, I recommend you pass through AFTS University. Yeah, we started developing this innovation as a concept before AFTS. But having passed through the blockchain studies at AFTS, it enables us to take our innovation much deeper than it would have been. Yeah, I must tell you, it has gone very deep because I think we've been able to implement tokenization that is based on use cases. Unlike most tokens that start just as a project and then they start looking for the application and use case. So we've done the other way. We'll be telling you more about StartShield, and we're proud to be associated, with AFTS University, and we continue to partner. And Professor, just to let you know that we are committed to translating a number of those capstone projects that you help to validate. And StartShield got the validation from you, Professor. So we're greatly indebted. So we can do the same for the many capstone projects that are coming out of AFTS. We have cooperating partners that are coming on board. I think some of them are on this call. I've seen a number of them. I've seen also Basil is on the call here. Yeah? I can see Sir Kelvin is also on this call. These are our collaborating partners who are interested in supporting the hub and startup ecosystem. Okay, so maybe just for more context, Professor, would you mention like how many capstone projects that you've helped supervise since the start of the program?
Yeah, thank you, Frederick. You know, if I have something, I will all send them to you just because, okay, ask Frederick. He had to answer lots of, let's say, deep questions before he was allowed to present.
Professor, I have the number. I wanted you to share with with the audience. You know, I know it's been a lot of work. There must be, is it over 500 capstone projects?
I don't
500.
have it. Yeah, at least.
More
probably
than 500. So
let's say not all went as startups, but that's natural, I guess.
yeah, so there's a startup ecosystem that is coming. Like I mentioned, some of our partners here are interested in seeing to it that we implement most of these innovations on the continent. So we've also, yes, I can see our partner there is doing a thumbs up there. The misconception around blockchain technology. Yeah, in most cases, when people hear blockchain, automatically they want to think of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And like you said, Professor, many people have been scammed and all that. I must tell you that I became aware of blockchain technology for quite some time now. But again, in the beginning, it was like you're talking Bitcoin and crypto, yeah? So the first time I came across Bitcoin and all that, I made a phone call to the Bank of Zambia because I wanted to know about, the issues of regulation and whether it was legal tender in Zambia. Yeah. So they told me there was no regulation at that time, but people were free to explore. Yeah. So I never got into it because again, I was also thinking it's Bitcoin and crypto. Okay. And then when I got to realize that there's the application side, there's the innovation side, the building solutions around blockchain, and that's what attracted me. I must tell you that ever since I came into contact, I've never traded. I've never done any trading. So I'm a person who is hands-on. I've taken blockchain on the development side, building solutions, building innovations using blockchain. But people are in it for, quick returns. They want to make money. They want to put in a little bit and then they cash in and all that. That's not what attracts me to blockchain, if you ask me. It's the capability that blockchain technology has. If we're able to, solve real-world problems using blockchain technology, and that's my kind of language, and that's why I'm here. So I'd like to collaborate with as many as possible, and then we continue working alongside Autash University to enroll more students. And just to okay, so there's a comment there, Professor. I don't know if you've seen it. There's a comment.
Oh, give me a second.
Mm-hmm. There's a comment, Professor.
Yeah, read it.
In the chat.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Let's not underrate digital, let's say, value representation. Euro Association, very active in the Bundesblocks. Let's say, discussing and criticizing the actual constraints to get the legal framework in Europe fully set in means of tokenization, in means of ETFs, in means of even the digital or euro, which will come to the public latest 2029 in Europe. And in these means, it's a really valid field. But for example, the digital euro won't be the classical public blockchain implementation, but making a good use of blockchain technology itself, just out of many technical reasons there. So let's not undervalue the, let's say, asset exchanges, but as mentioned before, it really is much, much more, and especially for most of us. Not being bankers, not being people with having big assets, industry, or big trading networks in behind. The well use of proven, let's say, information, proven fixed points of truth is much more of interest. And So thank you for this comment. Oh, maybe another one to mention, as you maybe still see my little meme picture.
Yeah, you want to tell us about that one?
Yeah, it's a really old one. Each time you look at it, it's not just adaptable to blockchain technology and blockchain as it's widely perceived. It's pretty much the same with AI. Freddie, you may have seen in our private classroom the last post of where Claude hacked another startup and deleted all data yesterday, I guess, or the day before. AI is a great tool, and we even have aspects of AIs in our lessons nowadays. It's again something. We have really cool tool. We have really cool technology to make effective use of. But it really needs to be understood. It really needs to be known the constraints. This doesn't mean you have to code an AI by yourself, but it really needs to know what this technique can do, will do, or maybe should not do, or where it should be implemented or not, or under the surveillance and so on. So in these means, take this picture as well to rate AI.
Interesting, Professor. I'm gonna have to check it out myself, you know. Yeah, so thank you so much. We appreciate the work that you do, Professor. Helping most of us to have a deeper appreciation of Web3 and blockchain technology, especially on the African continent. I'm so happy to see the work that we are doing together with our AFTS University. I'm one person who's very passionate about capacity building. Yeah, and I believe that we're gonna participate in building the African tech space, or the future of Africa, when we acquire real world skills, if you like, practical skills and stuff like that. We need skills, we need education. So without that, it will be very difficult for us to do. So we really appreciate the work that you do at AFTS. And I've seen Professor Amanda on the call. So delighted to have you, Professor Amanda, on the call. Yeah, it's nice to have you.
Professor Armando.
Us to transition to what Professor Amanda has prepared for us.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So we appreciate the AFTS University partners, the work you're doing. We're delighted to have you on the session. So please, let's see what Professor Armando has prepared for his presentation.
Oh.
And Professor Armando, I think like Professor Johannes, I don't want to do injustice to all the our speakers on the call, so I invite them to do their proper introduction so that I do not miss out on anything. So you may start from there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Professor Frederick, for this opportunity to be part of this wonderful conference, specifically on the African continent. My name is Amando Buncales. I'm based here in Chicago. I am one of the pioneer in the blockchain adoption. I started learning blockchain since 2010. And then while still in grad school, I'm still is in grad school, doing a lot of upgrading. My area of specialization is in social sciences and in educational technologies. My dissertation right now is focused on large language model as generative artificial intelligence tool. And my background is I have my own blockchain technology. I basically live from the time Bitcoin was launched and as it started as a social movement going to the present as a financial tool at the same time as is software as a service. So I've seen them since 2008 when we had a recession here in the United States, 2010 until to the boom years of 2017 to 2021, and until now, I've seen it all and how blockchain technology evolved in different fronts. I am also a founder of an online university called AFTS University, where I will be discussing. But before I go into detail, I would like to acknowledge our guests here, particularly our partners, the innovators, the students, and leaders across Africa. Again, good morning. It's bright in Chicago today, and it's still cold, but everybody is happy because the sun is there. No doomy cloud. Now, let me focus to you on our present state, the age where we currently live. We are living in a time where the rules of society, economics, and knowledge are being rewritten. Why? Because of something new. It is rewritten not gradually, but exponentially fast. And this is what we call, we are now at the fourth industrial revolution. Now, unlike previous revolution, this one is not powered by the steam engine or electricity. It is powered by intelligence. That is artificial intelligence, decentralized system, and the most important of all, data. Okay, data. And here is the critical point. Africa is not behind. Africa is positioned to leap forward. In fact, Africa has a lot of young age to propel this new innovation, this new revolution. With a young population, rapid mobile adaptation, and increasing digital connectivity, Africa has the opportunity to build systems not from legacy constraints. I mean, legacy constraints in a sense that developed and advanced nations have these legacy systems already firmly established. Africa do not have that. But from innovations, first principle. And at AFTS University, we see this not just an opportunity, but a mandate. Okay, a mandate. So what is AFTS University? AFTS University is designed as a future-focused institution that integrates three critical pillars. One, blockchain and decentralized systems. Two, artificial intelligence, force transformation. And three, a newly developed field and programs that we are engaged in, healthcare innovation through naturopathic medicine. These are not separate disciplines. They are converging systems that define how society will function moving forward. Our mission is simple but ambitious: to train future leaders who can design, lead, govern, and operate these systems in blockchain, in artificial intelligence, and in healthcare innovation. Now, let's focus first on blockchain. We don't simply teach blockchain merely as a coding, as you see that. We teach it as an economic system. We teach it in that way. For our decentralized application, our students learn how to design systems where value is created, distributed, and sustained. So as some of you have taken the class, we have courses on tokenomics. We focus on tokenomics and incentive structures, governance mechanism in a decentralized network, and sustainability of digital economies. In fact, you pick your own research, focus on your own interest. We intentionally do this because a decentralized application without a sustainable economy is not innovation. It is a failure waiting to happen. So we make sure that our student is not living in a la-la land. We make sure that their project is innovative and sustainable. That is how we envision our decentralized applications. How about how we envision decentralized finance? We envision this and we teach this to our student. Or this is our plan on how we go about in the curriculum design on how and what students should learn. In terms of a decentralized finance, in many parts of Africa, access to traditional banking is limited. You know that. But access to a mobile technology is widespread, not just in Africa, but all over in Asia and other newly emerging countries. With this availability of technology, this creates a powerful opportunity. We train students to build leading and saving protocols, liquidity systems, and community-based financial ecosystems. As some of you already witnessed, the capstone presentation, I think, of Professor Johannes, our student went through all of this. Some of them are into healthcare, some of them are into agriculture, some of them are for sovereign identity, privacy, in various sectors, actually. And some of them went to go to school to the United States and even presented their paper and got awards. And I think you heard that as well. Now, decentralized finance, also called as DeFi, is not just technology. It is a financial inclusion at scale. Because of the limited banking sector in most part of Africa and also in other parts of the world, Latin America, for example, decentralized finance is functional. Now, how we see our Web3 ecosystems? We go further into Web3 because if you can see, blockchain, Bitcoin was launched. It was more on a social movement. We never see it as a financial tool. And then after that, it evolved. And then after it evolved into a financial tool, what happened? People started introducing decentralized applications. And then after decentralized applications, we have decentralized finance. And the third one is the Web3 ecosystem, where all of those components are put together into a whole ecosystem. So blockchain technology is evolving from ideology and a technology, evolving, going back and forth, financial technology at the same time, software as a service. Now, we see Web3 ecosystem and how we project it to our curriculum development. We want students to engage with decentralized identity systems, decentralized autonomous organizations or DAO as a governance model, digital ownership through NFTs. As you see, some of these applications come and go, but the idea and philosophy stays the same. And you can use this in other emerging technologies as well. In other words, we here in Altas University, we are not just producing users of Web3 ecosystem, but very important, we are producing architects, leaders of the Web3 environment. Now, with the blockchain, let us focus now on the artificial intelligence. Always remember that we are not 100% replacing the workforce for artificial intelligence. In fact, it is redefining what it meant to be part of the workforce. Okay? Think of artificial intelligence as a tool to enhance productivity. At Altas University, we emphasize a fundamental shift. The most valuable skill in the era of artificial intelligence is not coding alone. It is the ability, it is your ability to instruct intelligence. So, large language model as the infrastructure, as the bedrock of all coding instruction. At present, it emerged to be that way. Is becoming the operating system of knowledge work. Okay, so it is important to learn prompt design and engineering because that is now the bedrock. So if you give quality instruction, the output will be quality as well. So more specific, more defined, more relevant, and less hallucination. So how we see large language model, artificial intelligence Africa as an internal provider. We are building partnership. Okay, so we came in, especially in Northern Africa and in other parts of Africa since 2019. So what is our goal since we are purely based online? We want people to see our presence and how we're going to do that since we're doing this, scaling this online. So our aim is to partner with universities, non-government organizations, health institutions like hospitals, and government agencies. And in fact, this is demonstrated by Motley. Professor Frederick, this is how we inform people that such program exists. Our goal is to co-develop educational programs, training centers, and research initiative. Capacity building is our aim, not dependency. We don't want you to be dependent with us. We want you to be self-reliant. Now, let me close this. I'm honored to be talking with you today because the fourth industrial revolution will not wait. And I'm here to inform you. The question is not whether change will happen. The question is, who will lead it? And that will be you. At AFTS University, we are committed at training leaders who will not only adapt, but simply define the future. Now, we have a saying by famous people, but we subscribe this. The best way to predict the future is to create it, to engineer it. And we want you, Africa, to be part of it. At AFTS University, we invite you to build the future that is equitable, that will do justice for all. I end my talk with that statement. Thank you.
Professor, for that resounding keynote address. And we really appreciate the work that you've been doing at AFTS University in the space. And I must tell you that your programs have a huge impact on the African continent. We don't have local institutions that are doing the work that you are doing. So we're so delighted to work together so that we can build capacity for as many Africans as possible. And I'm aware that cohort 25 is sealed. So here I've got my national coordinators for various chapters that we work with in the FCFTA Young Entrepreneurs Federation. We're supposed to have a number of them, but I can see 2 chapters represented here, and we'll take advantage of this opportunity to extend scholarships to their chapters. So in the cohort 26, as Professor Johannes mentioned, AFF Ghana, AFF Kenya, start mobilizing your members. We go for the other chapters that are not here on the call. I know, Professor, there's so much work you're doing, and it will only be appropriate that we come back at presentation this evening, but to unpack everything that AFTS University is doing. I know we've got a graduation ceremony coming in June. So that's another platform we're going to use to tell the story and to showcase the impact of the programs that you are running at AFTS University. So we're so proud to be part of the partnership. But of course, we came as students. We passed through your hands on to others as well. Right? So the good things in life we want to share with others. Thank you so much. Is there any comment for Professor or any question or any reaction? Anyone want to say something? Otherwise, let's continue chatting. You can drop in the chat box. You can reach out. Okay, thank you for sharing. Yeah. So once you get hold of my colleague William on the call, it's as good as you get hold of Professor Armando and Professor Johannes. Yeah, so William has got 2 hats, is wearing 2 hats right now. On one side is a key executive of the MIBT Global, of course, not to mention Statue as well. Thank you, Professor Amando University. Yeah, we look forward to the session. So we'll be closing the afternoon, the African session with we have the last conversation. Yeah, of course, we had difficulties when we started, so we had to adjust the program a little bit. So we invite you to hang on just a little bit for the next few minutes. We know originally we were supposed to end at 4. Yeah, now because we started late, so our program has been pushed a little. So we're gonna have a read conversation. We want to demonstrate maybe the power of platforms like this, the Africa Futuretech Summit, and other platforms like this. That these are just not about having conversations, okay? But they are meaningful partnerships that come out of these programs. And just to get started, I want to mention to everybody on the call here that after yesterday's first day, we ended the global session at 7:30 p.m. exactly, but we had to sit around because we've got our colleague Basil on the call here. Believe me, some wonderful partnership was hatched just last night. Okay. So as we speak now, Basil is on the call and he says, okay, I'll be learning. I want to be following. Yeah, so we want to demonstrate the power of platforms like this. That these are not just talk shows or motivation speeches or just for conversations, no. But we design these platforms so that we can have meaningful and practical, partnerships and relationships. So with that said, allow me to have a conversation around StartShield. It's one of the capstone projects that was mentioned that has passed through AFTS University. Later on, we're going to be making a presentation on StartShield, but because we're out of time, so we're just going to have a conversation. Zena, are you on the call right now?
I'm on the call. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, loud and clear. So Zena is going to moderate this session, and I'm going to have a conversation with her around StartShield. So hope you follow through. So Zena is actually in Kenya right now, and we want to demonstrate what comes out of events like this one. So Zena, you want to introduce yourself and then you take us into the conversation, right?
Yeah, sure. All right. Hi everyone. I hope we're all doing well. My name is Zena Wambugo. I'm from Kenya. It's currently heavily raining where I am, but we're grateful for the day and the session. So, Frederick, I'd like to start you off by asking a few questions. So to start us off, Frederick, could you give us a sense of what the Motley Institute of Business and Technology really is, and what gap you saw in Africa that led to its creation?
Actually, MIBT is an ecosystem, if you like. I must say that we started building some time back. You'll be interested to know that we've been building the MIBT global ecosystem in the last 26 years. I must tell you that the MIBT global ecosystem was established when I came straight out of university. Yeah, because I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship, right? When my friend rushed to go and get employed, I opted to set up the MIBT. Okay, exactly February the 2nd, the year 2000. This is when this journey got started. Our mission is simple. We believe in building capacity in two aspects. That is entrepreneurship and technology. Because we realized that these were the missing pieces, especially not just here in Zambia, but in Africa. So that's what prompted, the birth of the MIBT. We wanna contribute to the development of the continent. Yeah.
That is interesting, Frederick. And that naturally brings me to this. Say, as a training institution, it evolved into something much bigger. What drove that shift into a full innovation ecosystem?
Your question again, Zen. Sorry, my network tripped.
All right, no problem. I hope you can get me now clearly. So on your last point, which was a very interesting,
Yeah.
I'm getting curious now, considering that MIBT didn't just stay as a training institution, it evolved into something much bigger. So what drove that shift into a full innovation ecosystem?
Okay, thank you very much. So how we evolved over time, remember, like I mentioned, entrepreneurship and technology has been our backbone of what we do at MIBT. So when we started, we were not MIBT, but we were the Motley group, if you like, or the Motley ecosystem, just. Then later on, 8 years ago, is when we established the Motley Institute of Business and Technology as a core entity of the Motley ecosystem. And the reason was simple. We didn't want to be we wanted to transfer the knowledge, we wanted to transfer the skills and empower as many people as possible. So that's when we established the Motley Institute of Business and Technology. which we simply refer to as MIBT. Now, as time went by, we realized that the MIBT was becoming the core entity of the we now call the ecosystem, not the Motley ecosystem, but the MIBT global ecosystem. So the MIBT as an education institution is the core entity, which does the training, it does the boot camps, does the hackathons, it does the webinars, it does the summits like this one, the conferences, and many, many other programs. Now, again, remember, our passion is to innovate and to devise workable solutions that impact lives. So we saw innovation as a way to contribute to solving quite a number of problems, if you like, on the continent, okay? And then we realized that there were many gaps in the space. Many people are not taking the bold stance to explore, especially Web3 and emerging technology. We decided, okay, we want to be the ones maybe that will play a key role here so that we can help our people, help develop our continent. And coincidentally, it happened at the start of the FCFTA implementation. So we are happy to work within the FCFTA ecosystem. Thank you.
That's a very nice insight. And from that evolution, we now see innovations emerging. You introduced StartShield as one of those flagship innovations. How would you describe it, and why is it particularly relevant for Africa right now?
Oh my goodness. StartShield is a flagship innovation that we are building for Africa. Okay. You realize that actually Africa's biggest invisible problem, if you like, is the lack of risk protection. Okay. Not just for the majority of the population, but especially the underserved business communities. You're talking smallholder farmers, you're talking SMEs, startups. Okay, there's this bantam about the startup ecosystem developing. Again, all those are not, covered, by traditional institutions, if you like. Then we are talking cooperatives, we're talking small-scale miners, we're talking traders, marketeers, if you like. These are in huge numbers. 80% of the African economy is made up by these communities, but they're not covered. So that actually moved us to want to do something about it, because our work brings us in close contact with these communities, if you like. We work in these communities. So we saw a gap there, and we did a lot of things. We asked traditional insurance, for example, if they had a product that could solve the kind of problem we are trying to
Chain and fintech solutions coming up. What would you say truly sets StartShield apart?